Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. You're going to learn exactly what you need to know and do to finally achieve the level of financial success you desire and you deserve. Interest rates are up. The cost of almost everything, like food and gas, has increased. And now we're seeing the impact of that, all because the Federal Reserve wanted to slow down the economy. And in addition, now there are massive job layoffs in every industry. So the question is, can you still thrive in these uncertain times? Where we're going to hear from someone who has accomplished just that. But before we get started, here are the 3 things you may not know about what you need to do to recession-proof your life. First, you've got to look at your skill as an asset. And then you have to create value and know your value. And finally, you've got to diversify your income stream and your assets. So joining us today is Xina Island. She took the unconventional route of entrepreneurship many years ago. And she is president and CEO of X Plus PR. She's considered a visionary leader and recognized as an authority on multicultural communication, digital strategy, and event planning. And during this time, she has been able to flourish, and that's the conversation I want to have with her today. So Xina, welcome to Get Wealthy.
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
Oh, it's great to have you. And the reason I wanted to have this conversation is because of a recent conversation that we had just about how you were growing your business as an entrepreneur during these times. And you revealed to me that you've really been able to see your significant growth. And I thought this is just the conversation that we need to have. Because when you listen to all the doom and gloom, you may, get concerned and want to contract. And so talk to us just a little bit. First, just share a little bit about your company and what you do.
So, I do a lot of things. I'm in PR and communications. I'm really well known in the media space where I help clients get media attention in whether it's print, because I just had a client, get something in USA Today print magazine that just came out with Michelle Obama on the cover, as well as digital, television, broadcast, radio. I'm known to, come to me, and especially in the Black community, in Black media, because I know a lot of those people. I've worked with them over the years. I understand the history of Black media and the importance of Black media. Why, as a people, as a community, that we need to use it in order to tell our own stories. Not to say we can't use a USA Today. I just said that. But there's nothing like Black media being able to tell our stories. And that's why it's important to have voices like yourself here, having these shows, because it's dedicated to Black people and how we need to build our wealth. So that's what I'm known for. I'm also, helping people get speaking engagements. I do a variety of different things in the communication space. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you so much.
Well, I'm excited to have you because one of the things I alluded to was the fact that, you had a career and yet you took the unconventional route of entrepreneurship. And as you well know, full disclosure, you've been a part of our Wealthy You community and are a Wealthy You member. And so I want to frame this around a framework that you are very, very familiar with, and it's mindset, strategy, and execution being our framework for success and Wealthy You. So I want to start with mindset because I think it's very important that people understand entrepreneurship is a different mindset from conventional sort of career and employee. And so the first question I have for you is, what is the mindset shift that you had to make from coming out of a more conventional career space to entrepreneurship?
Oh man. So in the beginning of all of this, my journey, it was not by choice. I was laid off. I had just had surgery. And during that period of time, I ended up getting laid off once I came back because all my assignments had been given away. But fortunately, while I was recovering, somebody came to me with an assignment. I'm still grateful to him. His name is Scott Busby. He's out of Los Angeles. Great guy. Said, I need some help pushing this book out that my dad wrote on LBJ and Dr. Martin Luther King. And I feel like you're the right person to do it. And I was like, really? I was like, yes, I think you can do this. So I did it while I was recovering from surgery. And I'm glad I did because it helped bring in some income, additional income. And then when I was laid off, I continued to work with him, received some more projects from him out because his dad was they're based here. Even though he lives in LA, his dad was based here. It was very well known man, and I just helped to push that pushed it out. And then came along, I got an opportunity, thank God, with Ford Motor Company Fund. I started doing work for them through a PR agency out of Southfield, Michigan called In Touch Communications Group. So I did work for Ford for a number of years, almost all the way up until the pandemic. And that's where I learned. That's where I expanded. That's where I learned more about my Black history and my culture, and working with people like Dr. Dorothy Height and Sonia Sanchez, and sitting at the feet of Medgar Evers' wife, and for some reason, Myrlie Evers.
Yes, yes.
Myrlie Evers.
Well, you know what?
Sat at her feet, okay? Sat at her feet in Texas. Let me be clear.
Well, you know, I love this, and I didn't know this backstory really, but how appropriate it is to be having this conversation during this time where I didn't realize you were laid off, and that's how
I got involved. And times were good, right? Times were good.
Yeah, but my point is that your skill set is an asset. That's the first thing, right? And that's what I really want people to understand about when we're in an economic downturn, that problems can be opportunities if you know how to leverage it and you're clear on what your strengths and your skills are. And so the other question I have for you is, on this path, it hasn't been easy. Yes, you were able to transition into entrepreneurship. But the other question I have for you is, in terms of mindset, when you've also faced some personal challenges. Even then, you were in the hospital, and I know that you had some personal and family challenges. What kind of mindset would you say people need to have in order to overcome and still thrive in spite of them?
So, and this is where I'm getting at, because things were going well, and because I was learning things from other people, and at the same time, those people were showing me along the way my skill set, what I can bring, my assets. And then, I lived through the 2008. When the bottom fell out in 2008, 2009, everybody was running around talking about the world is getting ready to blow up, So, and I was struck with fear then, but I made it through it. And then once I made it through that, I realized when I did have to have another surgery and I got sick, and then my dad got sick, I realized, even though those times were hard, oh my gosh, they were so hard and it was tough, and my business suffered. But I think because of the fact I knew I made it through before, and my faith, I have to say that my faith in God, I believe in God, I read my Bible, I had to draw strength from that, and also the strength from the people who surrounded me for a temporary time, because Dr. Dorothy Height's not here anymore. So we got to think about you. So when you go back to your circle, that is so important. You got to think about who you surround yourself with, because they help you thrive. They help you keep going. They help you elevate and level up. And you always have to think like that. Even right now, we're getting ready to head to a recession. Amazon just announced 10,000 layoffs. Facebook is laying off people. I mean, the tech industry, which was is untouchable. You know, nothing ever happens to the tech. It's happening. So, you know, people are getting worried. Inflation, like you said, gas prices. Where is all this going? And all I'm doing is, you know what? Bucker up. You know, just pull it together. You're going to get through this. And I know I will. And this is these are times where you take advantage of what's going on. This is how people get rich or richer, is when things you think is bottomed out. That's when you have to start looking at, you know, I'm not trying to get into the stock market. I am no expert. That's your
I love, but
that
you know what? No,
back to you, so you can talk about that. But
no, I love that. But what you just described was that wealth mindset, and that is viewing problems as opportunities, because we are on, you know, talking about mindset. And I think you said something really important there, Xina, and it's that you made it through before. So it's building resilience and having the ability to go forward really is hearkening back to the time when you went through a challenge and you overcame it. And I, you know, as an entrepreneur myself, I often tell myself when things don't quite go the way that we planned, you know, maybe we launched something and it didn't quite resonate with the audience. And I have to tell myself this exactly, that it's happened before. I overcame it before. I'll overcome it again. And I think that's what you just shared with folks, that digging deep, that faith that you have to have in yourself, and reflecting on the times that you have been faced with challenges, and then how you overcame them.
Exactly.
So next I want to go to, when we come back, I want to go to the next part of our framework, which is strategy. So it's not enough to just have faith and believe. What are the things that you need to be thinking about, especially as it relates to the fact that we are in a recession, even though people don't want to claim it? What do you need to do to really take advantage and thrive in spite of it? So when we come back, we're going to go to the next part of our framework on Get Wealthy, and that is strategy.
Let's be honest, as successful women, we're crushing it. Maxed out 401k and Roth IRA? Check. Aggressive savings and investments? Check. Yet, the freedom our success was supposed to buy can leave us stuck on the six-figure hamster wheel, watching retirement slip further down the road. There's another way. Get coaching courses and community at wealthyu.com.
Don't wait till November 8th. We can vote today, y'all. Early vote started this week.
We're on Savannah State University's campus. We will be dorm storming today, giving out treats for everyone. We hope to see everyone at the polls when it comes to November.
If you believe we got power, let them know. Make some noise. Put a fist up. I need to see a fist in the air because we got power. Come on, you put it up. Come get your shirt.
We're out here in the streets of Savannah, Georgia.
James, do not forget to go vote. I got you.
If we vote the right people in, we can make a change. We can get these resources in our community.
I am a woman, and it is important that we have the say-so of what we want to do with our bodies.
We're concentrating on entrepreneurism, providing young people with resources and training that they need in order to change their trajectories. We won't back down. Democracy is on the ballot. Voting rights is on the ballot. Voting suppression is on the ballot. I am most passionate about those three combined because they all impact each other.
Savannah is my home. I care about my community, and I care about representation in my community.
Our voices are still going to be heard no matter what kind of obstacles try to come up against us to stop us from voting. We're still going to be standing our ground.
I see the effort that's being made to keep our communities from voting. So that makes me realize it's even more important, because if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be fighting to make sure we couldn't vote.
This doesn't stop this year. This is a forever movement.
We're going to exert our power as a people, walk in our rightful place. We're going to change our communities, fight for our communities, and build our communities.
Welcome back, everyone, to Get Wealthy. And we're having a conversation really today about recession-proofing your life. How can you still thrive during these uncertain times? And my guest today is Xina Island. She is the founder of X Plus PR, and we're sharing her journey through not only entrepreneurship, but how she's been able to flourish in spite of uncertain times. So Xina, welcome back to Get Wealthy. And I want to kind of piggyback on something that you said in the last segment. And that it is that in terms of being able to flourish, that you really have to understand that it is during these economic downturns that you can take advantage. And so I want to talk just for a moment. The question I have for you really is, what kind of strategies as an entrepreneur have you had to deploy in order to overcome the ups and downs and uncertainties of the economy?
Great question, Deborah. Few things I've done. The first thing I am doing right now currently, I'm looking at what I can pull back on, right? So that's easy. Your entertainment, food, trips. And I've been doing that anyway during COVID. I sort of got into that habit of doing it, during COVID. Is we couldn't go on anywhere. I know a lot of people were ordering from DoorDash. I didn't do that. I started learning how to cook better and cook more because I started changing my diet at that point. And so look at things, your subscriptions. That's another big piece. We don't realize how many subscriptions we have. And I'm not going to lie to you. I added up. I found $300 worth of subscriptions I did not need. I just did that about 2 months ago. $300 a month. So I got rid of those. So that's another thing. And go through every single thing that you're doing every day and figure out what don't you need to do anymore, So that's one thing I've been doing. I've been trying to pull back on. Number two, I am looking at different opportunities in the stock market. So, there's some things that have come down that I wanted to buy before, but they were just a little bit too high. But now they kind of, they're at a point where I can buy it. So I've been buying more stock, even though it's, I'm supposed to be stacking cash. And that's the other thing I've been doing. A friend of mine told me, who's in finance, said, start putting cash away. Cash is getting ready to be king for now. And so I've been saving more and more cash as well. So, and from a business standpoint, I'm looking at ways of tweaking my business. What can I do? I noticed just recently, people are coming to me to get booked for opportunities, or if you hear anything, Xina, that where I can speak, can you, let me know. So I've been doing a few of those as well. That's something that's been a little bit, I want to say it's completely out. I've been doing it all along, but I never done it for payment. So here's one of these things that we used to talk about. You got to know your worth. You got to know your value. So I'm looking at my value to see what else could I do to make additional money, because right now my mind is on retirement. And I learned a lot from my dad, who taught me a lot, because, he kept saying, you got to think about retirement. You're not going to stay that age forever, even though you look younger, even though you look good. I never forget, on my birthday, my father walked into the kitchen. I was home for my birthday, and I was with my mom. My father walks in. My parents are divorced, but they stayed friends over the years. And he walks in and he starts, you need to start thinking about retirement. I mean, he just gives me this long speech about you can't keep living the way you living from day to day. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Then I know you're on your own. You really need to. I mean, my father, my mom looks up and said, Jess, did you know it was her birthday? Did you forget?
But that's great advice on your birthday. And so, one of the things that I wanted to talk about strategy, and I know that we've had conversations around being an entrepreneur and what you need to do to create that kind of financial safety net as an entrepreneur, because it's not like you've got, someone you always have an opportunity to have a 401k, depending upon what your relationships are with your customers. What advice would you give entrepreneurs, business owners, about structuring your business so that you can create a kind of financial safety net for yourself?
Talk to people like you. I mean, seriously, you've given me advice. I'm a part of your community, your circle, and being a member has helped me. It helped me thrive. And listening in and learning about start thinking about buying real estate. I wasn't thinking about buying. I was just happy to be in my condo in Arlington.
That really is expanding your circle. Yeah, but I mean, I wanted you to specifically to talk about, like, what are some of the accounts that you've set up for yourself as a business owner? Like, have you set up retirement accounts for yourself? I want just for you to kind of share what strategies you've had to put in place as a business owner so that you're still, of course, thinking about retirement for yourself and through your business.
Well, a couple of things have been going on. I have mutual funds, which thanks to you helped me. I had a lot of mutual funds. We helped consolidate some of those mutual funds. As I mentioned, I also have stocks. I also have cash, and I have something automatically coming out every month from my account. It's called Albert. I use that just so I won't see it. And then if I have an emergency, I'll have the money available. So like right now, I have a car emergency, as you know, I've mentioned that to you. And it's going to cost me some money because of the type of car I drive. So that's lesson number one for entrepreneurs. Seriously, do not always go out and get the fancy, cute car. I know you want to show your success, but later on down the road, if you're anything like me, I keep my cars. I've been taught to keep my cars, even though I'm from the automotive area where people lease. My parents told me, buy a car, keep it, and let the car pay you off and back later on. So I still hold to that. So, but they didn't say go buy a car that's going to cost you a lot of money in services and fees later on. So that's something I have learned. But you just gotta, you things can go great, but let me tell you, there are times that things are gonna drop. Times won't be as great. So you want to be able to lean back on the cash. You want to be able to lean back on your savings. You want to not max out all your credit cards. I finally got my credit cards down to a point where it is so manageable. And I'm just now, to be honest with you, I'm focusing on I still have some student loan debt from grad school. So I have a little bit left. So I've been focusing on paying that down. And it's been and then talking to you and learning different strategies, for example, personal 401k. I have a 401k. From a corporation, from a company. However, I did not think about having a personal 401k. So that's something I am going to do for 2023.
Xina, this has been great advice, but I also wanted you to really share with entrepreneurs and business owners, like, What have you put in place so that you can actually create that financial nest egg?
Well, Deborah, and I know you and I have talked back and forth on this. I have a 401k through a company. Fortunately, one of the clients I'm working for right now has me as a temporary company, and I also have been able to invest in their 401k fund, which I'm grateful for. The one thing I don't have that you've told me that I need to get is a personal 401k, which I plan on doing that this year. That will happen. Also have been saving cash. So what I'll do, I use this app called Albert. I don't know if anybody's familiar, and Digit. It's for two different reasons. So one is for my business, if I have a business emergency, and the other one's for a personal. So right now I have one combined. I have a car emergency right now. So I'm pulling money from those two apps to pay for my car emergency. I also have equity in my home. I haven't borrowed anything, but I do know if things do get to a point, I can leverage that equity, but I don't want to because interest rates are high. So we're trying to avoid that part because of the interest rates, but at least I know I have it. The other piece is I'm cutting back. I'm watching the subscriptions. I found like 200 to 300 subscriptions I did not need, because sometimes because I'm subscribing to the news, because I have to stay on top of the news of what's going on in the business world. And then I have these clients who are in different areas, in health and tech, social justice, civil rights. And so I subscribe to all these different newspapers, Amazon, everything. So I had to cut back on some of those things, and we all have to be careful. So what I tell people is, especially entrepreneurs, do not forget along the way that you need to put some money away. I know that's that grind. Yes.
That's great. And, I love the fact, Xina, that you really set up these systems, right? And that's exactly where I want to go next when we come back. So we've talked about mindset. We've talked about strategy. When we come back, I want to go to the next aspect of our financial success framework of execution. It's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to be about it. So when we come back, we're going to have a conversation with Xina about how she went from got out of her head and from just managing a business and working in it to working on her future as well. So when we come back, we're going to talk about execution.
November 8th. We can vote today, y'all. Early vote started this week.
We're on Savannah State University's campus. We'll be dorm storming today, giving out treats for everyone. We hope to see everyone at the polls when it comes to November.
If you believe we got power, let them know. Make some noise. Put a fist up. I need to see a fist in the air because we got power. Come on, you put it up. Go get your shirt.
We're out here in the streets of Savannah, Georgia.
James, do not forget to go vote. I got you.
If we vote the right people in, we can make a change. We can get these resources in our community.
I am a woman, and it is important that we have the say-so of what we want to do with our bodies.
We're concentrating on entrepreneurism, providing young people with resources and training that they need in order to change their trajectories. We want Black down. Democracy is on the ballot. Voting rights is on the ballot. Voting suppression is on the ballot. I am most passionate about those three combined because they all impact each other.
Savannah is my home. I care about my community, and I care about representation in my community.
Our voices are still going to be heard no matter what kind of obstacles try to come up against us to stop us from voting. We're still going to be standing our ground.
I see the effort that's being made to keep our communities from voting. So that makes me realize it's even more important, because if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be fighting to make sure we couldn't vote.
This doesn't stop this year. This is a forever movement.
We're going to exert our power as a people walk in our rightful place. We're going to change our communities, fight for our communities, and build our communities.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking with Xina Island about how to really recession-proof your life and your finances so that you can thrive in spite of the economic uncertainty that we all go through. So we've talked about mindset, we've talked about strategy, and now I want to talk with Xina about execution. So Xina, one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about today is, you know, we've had this pandemic, and it has been, you went through the pandemic, you still were able to grow your business during that. And now we're faced with the recession. And so one of the questions that I wanted to ask, I think you covered a little bit in our last segment, just giving the words of wisdom to entrepreneurs about the fact that, you know, times won't always be good. So you got to have an emergency fund. And so I'd like for you to share with our audience, you talked about the fact that you're contributing through one of your relationships through a 401k. And you alluded earlier just about you having mutual funds. And now you're talking about stocks and taking advantage of that. Talk to us a little bit about, like, what type of accounts have you set up so that you now can start executing on some of the strategies that you've learned about, not only through Wealthy You, but just as you've grown in your financial acumen?
Well, one of the things I've been doing is, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't started pulling money out per se right now. Not yet. I'm waiting. And only because the reason why I'm waiting, I'm just trying to find the right time. And I know in my mind, in the back of my mind, I'm saying at some point I do want to buy a house as a asset to use.
As an investment.
As an investment. I have a condo now, but I'm thinking about buying a home as an investment because there are certain areas that you can still tap into around the country that are affordable. May not be affordable right here in Washington, D.C. area, but think about looking at other areas that you think that the change is getting ready to happen. Like at some point it will start to flip. And then that's what I've been doing. So that's another reason I'm trying to save my money, be careful about what I spend on, making sure certain things are done appropriately, because at some point I am going to pull the trigger and buy that investment property just to have and hold on to for retirement. I might have to move in there one day. Who knows? I mean, we don't know.
But I love that you have just really expanded how you're thinking about building wealth and creating financial security for yourself from, really leveraging your ways that you can invest. One of the things I know is that you took old investment accounts that have been dormant and you've kind of optimized those. And now you're branching off into real estate. And because one of the points that I made is diversifying your income stream and diversifying your assets. And so you've been on quite the journey. We've known each other for over a decade now. And to see your financial transformation for me has been so rewarding. And so what I'd like for you to share with the audience is how did you go from, just that mindset of surviving to thriving? What do you think had the most significant impact to have you flourishing during these challenging times?
So I have a friend, and I remember this is years ago when I had my surgery, and I was I was in the bed. I'll never forget this, recovering. So I was talking to her. She was checking on me. And I said, so she said, well, why don't I said, oh God, I hate sitting here. I'm bored. I can't believe I can't move, all of that. She goes, why don't you read that book that I gave you back in the summertime? That might be a good time to read it. And you know what that book said? Broke at 55.
Oh my goodness. And so how did that impact you after reading that book?
Oh my God, when I read that story, and she lives here. She's based in Washington.
I know who exactly it's Elizabeth White. I interviewed her. I know exactly who you're talking about.
I read that book. That book changed my life. Because she had given it to me like 6 or 7 months beforehand. I was just, whatever. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have a hard head. I will admit it. Live on air. I have a hard head. I don't want to listen. I want to do things my way until it really just doesn't work out anymore. And I was at that point. It was not working out. And I read that book. That book transformed my life. You had also been in my ear too. I was running away from Deborah. Deborah was running to me. Somebody trying to help a sister out. I'm like, no, I'm not hearing that. I gotta go. I gotta go in the other corner. I gotta go this way.
Well, I do. And that's the reason why I wanted to have this conversation about execution, because it is interesting that you read the book, Broke at 55. And I don't know if that's quite but I know that's part of the title. Right. And what I felt about that book instinctively was that, oh, wow, it's interesting that a story showing what could happen if you don't take financial control, that being the catalyst. But I'm laughing because I can remember we would end up in the strangest places running into each other. And it wasn't just in this, we live in the DMV, both you and I, but I actually ran into you. I was in Philadelphia at a conference and ran into you. And so the question I have for you is, at that point, I said, Xina, you really need to connect with me. What changed? Why did you then say, okay, this woman, there must be a reason for our paths crossing. What finally made you say, okay, I'm going to move forward?
So as I told you, I believe in prayer. I believe in faith. I believe in God. And I've been praying about my situation. I've been praying about my circumstances. I realized I woke up, I started waking up. My friend calls it sleepwalking. I'm starting to understand the changes that I needed to make. And probably because of my father too, to be honest with you, the things that my dad's been going through as well. All the things he had been telling me over the years caught up with me because he got ill and I started listening. And my father is being well taken care of the best way we can handle it. But I'm telling you, if he hadn't put certain things in place, his situation could have been a lot different. So fortunately, things worked out for him. And it definitely helped me to see that I needed to get myself together. So when you came to me, I think that was right after my father. And I said to myself, you know what? I've been praying, I've been asking, and then all of a sudden, God answered my prayers. You were in front of me, and I said, okay, let's do this, Deborah, and we've been on a journey since then.
Well, what I would say, I'm so grateful that you are sharing your story, because, you know, what you just alluded to was the fact of your own personal health challenges, your father, and, you know, my parents had dementia and went through that and lost them in the past couple of years or so. I thought that your story would really inspire others to know that in spite of their circumstances. You said something to me just a few days ago that really stuck with me. And this is where I want to end the interview, really is, you said, what I learned is don't focus on my circumstances, focus on the goals. Tell us why that's important.
That is very, very important. And once again, I heard this from a pastor. He said that one day, and it resonated with me. It's like, don't always focus on the circumstances. Continue to focus on your goals and your future, because your circumstances doesn't always dictate where you're going to end up in the future. Don't allow what you see in front of you say, oh, this is how it's going to be for the rest of your life. It's not. And also, certain things happen in your life, you know, to teach you a lesson, so you can learn from it and learn. And then so that you can take that information, leverage up from it, and then say, when, like I said, when times hit hard again, guess what? I made it through before, I'll make it through again. And focus on how you're going to thrive during those times. That's the best way to do it. And stop worrying about what's going on. So even though I'm in PR, there are times I turn off the news. I don't watch it anymore. I won't pay attention. And I just I just put my head down and I focus. And when people start, oh, let's talk about the midterm elections and what, I don't want to hear about it. I just don't. Because all it does is just feeding into that fear, and I got to stop feeding into that fear.
That's great advice. You know, we normally do the analyze, optimize, maximize segment, but I think you really summed it up in what you just said, Xina. And something really struck me, something that we say often in Wealthy You, and it is you never lose. You either win or you learn. And goodness, you know, just seeing the way that you've been able to overcome so many challenges, you really left us with a great story. Any closing comment or words of wisdom you want to share with the audience today?
So if you're an entrepreneur, you're thinking about entrepreneurship, just remember, I said this earlier, take care of yourself. And that's mentally and financially. And physically, your health is important too. So remember, your health is your wealth. That is a true statement, because whenever I got taken down, what I mean by that, I had surgery. I fell from running, you know, so I was injured. So I couldn't get around the way I wanted to for a few months. Anything health-wise, it always kind of took me out the game. And you want to stay healthy as much as possible. And then, and one other thing, delegate. Put people in place to help you. You can't do it all.
That's great. That's great. You can measure a person's success by their ability to ask for help. Xina Island of X Plus PR, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today on Get Wealthy.
Thank you.
Well, folks, when we come back, the 3 takeaways from today's show that you need to know and do. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us.
Invest in Black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible.
Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is roland@rolandsmartin.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed Get Wealthy today. We really wanted to share exactly what you needed to know and do to recession-proof your finances during these uncertain times. So here are the 3 takeaways from today's show. First, focus on the goal, not your current circumstances. Next, take ownership of your financial success. And finally, leverage and value your network. That's going to do it for us today's episode. Thanks for watching Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.